Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this video, we will be talking about what we know so far regarding the second stimulus check, the stimulus package, the HEALS Act, and the extended unemployment benefits. I have gone through all the current news and information available, and these are the most relevant and the most important ones that I've found, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. Just a friendly reminder before we get started, this is not a political channel. This is a channel on personal finance and investing. So despite whichever party you support, whether it's Democrat or Republican, all I ask is that we keep it respectful towards each other in the comments section below. With that being said, let's dive right into it. So the first news article is from Fool.com, otherwise known as the Motley Fool. 5 things holding up the second stimulus package. And I'm going to skip right through this and go right to the point. 5 reasons Stimulus Deal 2.0 is being held up in Congress. Unfortunately, despite Democrats and Republicans both favoring a second round of direct stimulus to workers and senior citizens, a deal on a second stimulus package appears to be a long way off. Here are the 5 points of contention currently holding up the Stimulus 2.0 in Congress. The first one, enhanced unemployment benefits. Arguably, the biggest difference between the Democrats' HEROES Act and the GOP-backed HEALS Act is how to handle enhanced unemployment benefits. Under the CARES Act, approved unemployment beneficiaries received an extra $600 a week between April 1st and July 31st, or until they found a new job. Democrats have been unwavering in their desire to see this critical enhancement continue at the $600 per week level, with the HEROES Act calling for this payout extension through January 2021. Meanwhile, Republicans view the $600 a week stipend as too high and a disincentive for unemployed persons to get back to work. In the Senate proposed HEALS Act, Republicans call for an enhancement of only $200 per week as opposed to $600 per week. By October, this flat payment would switch to a 70% wage replacement model. Bridging this gap is going to be the toughest challenge for lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Number 2, benefits for undocumented workers. Another Stimulus 2.0 battle brewing is whether or not undocumented workers and/or their households should qualify for a payment. Under the HEROES Act, American citizens as well as undocumented workers with an individual taxpayer identification number or ITIN would qualify for a payout as long as their adjusted gross income was below the set threshold. Workers with an ITIN are paying federal taxes on their wages, despite the fact that they can't be assigned a social security number due to their citizenship status. The Republican HEALS Act is very clear that undocumented workers won't qualify for a payment, even if they have an ITIN. Only individuals with social security numbers would be eligible for the stimulus money. Number 3, funding for state and local governments. Lawmakers are also butting heads over what to do about state and local funding. The HEROES Act, which cost a little north of $3 trillion, apportions approximately $500 billion in funding for state and local governments dealing with massive budget deficits tied to the pandemic. This funding would be split up over 2 years with highly populated states like California, New York, Texas, and Florida, accounting for $49.4 billion, $34.8 billion, and $34.2 billion and $24.2 billion in respective proposed payouts, according to estimates from the CBP priorities. Republicans are staunchly opposed to the idea of using federal dollars as a budgetary stopgap for states, especially when a significant amount of this funding would go to blue states. It's unclear if the GOP would budge on this stance. Number 4, Liability shield protection. Keep in mind, it's not just line items from the HEROES Act that are holding the next stimulus package up. A key component of the HEALS Act doesn't exactly have the support of the Democrat-led House of Representatives. When introducing the HEALS Act a little over 2 weeks ago, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was adamant about including a liability shield for businesses and other entities such as schools and hospitals. The proposed liability shield would protect businesses from the frivolous pandemic-related lawsuits through October 2024. Though lawsuits could still be filed, the plaintiff would need to prove gross negligence or willful misconduct to win. This should block most COVID-19 lawsuits from even heading to trial and protect businesses from a rapid rise in legal expenses. Opponents of the liability shield argue that this would provide too much of an umbrella of protection for businesses and could make it even harder to control the pandemic. Though Democrats are mostly focused on boosting benefits for the unemployed, don't overlook disagreements with the GOP over the liability shield. Finally, number 5, Trump's payroll tax push. Lastly, President Trump is partly responsible for gumming up the works. You see, Trump's stimulus plan is completely different from what was proposed under the Republican HEALS Act. Last weekend, Trump signed a series of executive orders that would reinstate enhanced unemployment benefits at $400 extra per week, as well as defer payroll taxes for tens of millions of working Americans for the final 4 months of the year. The problem is that any disruption to the collection of the payroll tax, which is Social Security's primary source of revenue, could do irreparable harm to the program, even if this is just a deferral of the payroll tax. It could still make Social Security worse for the wear. Neither Democrats nor Trump's own party supports the idea of a payroll tax deferral, which is creating even more tension on Capitol Hill. The point is, it could still be many weeks before we see any real progress on the next stimulus package. So guys, as you can see, there's no two ways about it. Things are not looking good. And in my opinion, all 5 of these are items that's holding up the stimulus package. My question to you is, which one of these 5 you think is the main point of contention between Republicans and Democrats, according to you, in your opinion? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I try not to cover information I have already covered in a past stimulus check update, so if you have time, I highly recommend checking out the second stimulus check playlist. I will link in the iCard here. So guys, moving on to the next article, second stimulus check. Will you get one? Trump and Mnuchin says yes and blame Democrats for the delay. So this article is from Forbes. How quickly could you get a second stimulus check? According to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, once an agreement is reached, it could be as soon as a week after that. President Donald Trump and Secretary Steve Mnuchin have made it clear that they are ready to disperse funds, but blame the holdup on what they say is the Democrats' unwillingness to come to an agreement with the Republicans. President Trump went so far as to announce on Twitter last Friday that he has directed Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin to prepare to send stimulus checks in the form of direct payments up to $3,400 for a family of 4. Though White House officials have met numerous times to discuss what to put in the next bill, talks collapsed after Republicans and Democrats couldn't agree on a price tag and other key provisions. President Donald Trump also recently signed executive orders to extend certain COVID-19 economic relief, signaling his desire to move forward with economic assistance without the explicit approval of Congress. As a result of his measures, FEMA announced Saturday that residents of several states will start to receive a $300 federal enhanced unemployment benefit this week. Key lawmakers still support another stimulus package. Both the House of Representatives and the Senate are adjourned until after Labor Day, putting negotiations for another stimulus package at a standstill. But the House Democrats are preparing to return on Saturday to vote on a new bill to provide aid to the USPS, including $25 billion in new funding. Although some Democrats say they should also use the time to consider the stimulus package, it's unclear if that would be the case. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, in an interview on Fox Business, said that the two sides could reach a compromise on the next stimulus package, but only if Democrats were willing to adjust their requests. If the Democrats are willing to be reasonable, there's a compromise. If the Democrats are focused on politics and don't want to do anything that's going to succeed for the president, there won't be a deal, he said. Mnuchin added that the next bill could come back later in the year or January. Democrats say that's too long to wait to pass an aid package. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi last Wednesday said waiting to approve the next stimulus package until next month could be disastrous. Democrats have offered to reduce the $3.4 trillion proposal by $1 trillion if the House would add $1 trillion to its proposal. Republicans continue to argue that the price tag is too high. However, other Trump administration officials are giving mixed signals. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow expressed a lack of urgency for other relief package on Wednesday during a separate Fox Business interview. When asked if more money should be pumped into the economy via a stimulus package, he stated he didn't particularly think so. "I don't think the economy is going to rely solely on this," Kudlow said. Democrats, Republicans remain far apart on key issues. Even if another stimulus package is on the table, and it remains unclear exactly if it is, Republicans and Democrats remain far apart on key components that should be included in the package as well as its cost. Other proposal by Republicans getting the fiercest pushback from Democrats is the inclusion of a business liability shield. The shield would protect businesses, including hospitals and schools, from coronavirus-related liabilities. Pelosi described the liability shield proposal as unfair. Lawmakers appear to be unified on provisions for another round of stimulus check, expanding the PPP, and providing funding for testing, vaccines, and COVID-19 research. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know what you think both parties can do to come to an agreement so that the people can get their second stimulus check. Let me know in the comments below. Also, I'll link all these articles in the description of this video. If you want to read them yourself, if you want to do your own research, I always link the articles I discuss in the video so you can verify it for yourself. And if you guys like videos like this, if you guys want to see more videos like this, if you guys found this video helpful or at the very least interesting, give it a thumbs up. Let me know you guys found this video useful. And if you think someone will find this video useful, feel free to share it with them. So moving on to the next article, new $300 boosted unemployment payments could arrive by the end of August, FEMA guidance says. On Saturday, Arizona, Iowa, Louisiana, and New Mexico became the first states approved to pay out the new $300 federal unemployment boost created by President Trump's memorandum on jobless benefits signed on August 8th. So finally, some good news. There is some light on the horizon. The order establishes a new lost wages assistance program that will draw from $44 billion in funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or better known as FEMA. Through the program, the federal government would provide eligible recipients with an additional $300 payment on top of their state-administered unemployment aid. States may kick in another $100 if they have the funding to do so. The $300 federal payments are intended to replace the former $600 boost provided by the CARES Act. On Sunday, FEMA approved applications from Colorado, Missouri, and Utah to administer the Lost Wages program. Boosted benefits could roll out in August. Following the signing of the memorandum, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said jobless benefits could be available immediately. The Washington Post reports. Meanwhile, White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow said on CNN that payments could take a few weeks. New guidance from FEMA estimates payments will take at least 3 weeks from August 8 to start rolling out. States and territories must formally apply for the aid and outline how they plan to administer these benefits. After they're approved, funding will be available within 1 business day of receipt of the fully executed grant award, the guidance says. FEMA notes that after the memorandum was signed August 8th, they approved the first round of states to receive the aid by August 14th. How long it will take for residents to actually receive these extra payments will depend on how quickly states can reprogram their unemployment insurance systems to administer the funds. States that immediately got to work to reconfigure their system on August 8 could start administering extra payments by August 29th, according to the Department of Labor, and Arizona residents could see the boost as soon as this week. Deputy Press Secretary Brett Bazio of Arizona Department of Economic Security wrote in a statement to Forbes this week, Arizona has received approval on its application to FEMA for lost wages assistance funding. The department has implemented these changes to its system and the funds will be issued to claimants starting this week. So guys, if you're in Arizona, let me know in the comments below. Have you received your payment? Or if you do, let me know in the comments below. Let the community know so they are informed as well. Many workers will receive an extra $300 per week. The new order says that through a combination of federal and state dollars, unemployment recipients can receive up to an extra $400 per week in aid. However, through the program, the federal government will provide $300 per week per person, while states would be responsible for the remaining $100. States strapped for funding may consider this regular unemployment insurance payment as much as a $100 match rather than adding aid on top, effectively leaving the benefit recipients with a $300 weekly boost overall. The lowest paid workers won't be eligible for new aid. Once their state is set up, the FEMA guidance says people already receiving jobless benefits will see supplemental aid income through their regular state payments retroactive to August 1st. So guys, key point here, it will be retroactive to August 1st. The extra payment will go to people receiving benefits from regular state unemployment, pandemic unemployment assistance, pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, and state-administered extended benefits. However, individuals must be collecting a minimum benefit of at least $100 a week in order to qualify for the boost. A provision the Trump administration said is to curb fraud. The $100 minimum requirement could exclude an estimated $1 million of the lowest paid workers. But not all states will pay the extra aid. Not all states are planning to take part in the program. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem announced on Friday that the state would not take up the Trump order to provide the $300 weekly boost to jobless residents. My administration is grateful for the additional flexibility that this effort would have provided, but South Dakota is in the fortunate position of not needing to accept it. Nearly 19,000 people are collecting unemployment benefits in South Dakota, and its insured unemployment rate, the number of workers getting jobless benefits as a percentage of its labor force, is 3.7%, the second lowest in the nation behind Idaho. States must submit their grant applications and administrative plans by September 10th in order to be considered for funding. Federal funding may not last long. States approved for the Lost Wages program are only guaranteed 3 weeks of funding according to FEMA guidance, and additional disbursements will be made on a weekly basis in order to ensure that funding remains available for the states who apply for the grant assistance. According to the President's order, the Federal Lost Wages program will run until December 6th, until the $44 billion FEMA aid runs out, until the National Disaster Relief Fund, which normally funds emergency weather-related aid but will now also fund boosted unemployment, depletes to $25 billion, or until Congress passes a new legislation regarding the federal unemployment benefit, whichever occurs first. Analysts with the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimate the $44 billion in FEMA resources would last roughly 5 weeks until August 29th. That means by the time some Americans begin to see federal aid, funds could already be running out yet again. States administering the $100 boost may continue to do so until December 27th. All remaining forms of enhanced unemployment are set to expire at the end of 2020. So members of Congress and White House officials spent several weeks negotiating the next round of pandemic relief, which came to an abrupt halt last week as the Senate adjourned for recess until Labor Day. And some 28 million Americans are currently receiving jobless benefits. So guys, that is it for this article. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And these are all the latest news that we have so far, all the latest information that we have so far. And as more information and news come to light, I will keep you guys updated. So if you guys want to remain updated on the stimulus checks, stimulus package updates, and its developments, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel so you always know when these videos come out. And if you guys like to see more videos like this, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys find these videos helpful. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.